What's up, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Panther Fan Talk. I'm Eric, and with me as always is Will.
Hey, first of all, I'd like to say that we're a day late because we had some technical difficulties. We apologize for that, and we'll try to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. However, next week could be trying with the game being a night game on Sunday. Guess we'll get things started with Hardy. I don't really want to harp too much on this. I've heard enough of it. I'm sure about everyone else has. And I basically feel like the Panthers were pressured by the media to sit Hardy. I don't think that it would have been bad for them not to sit him, to allow him to play, allow the process to play its way out. I think the national media, part of us being a small market, they look, at things once they hit, they don't know any of the background, they just try to jump on it and think they're making the accurate call. And they're saying that Carolina came in late, blah, blah, blah. Basically, Carolina was pressured into doing it. Did it for media reasons, not for the right reasons. And that's my 2 cents on it. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought Greg Hardy should have played. I mean, like I said, I think last week, he hasn't been found guilty of anything because he's going into an appeal. And from the first off, the first thing that they was going to say was it's going to let the courts play out and then go from there, which is what I thought they should have done. And yeah, they were definitely pressured into sitting this week. So,
well, let's get to the happy parts. Obviously, no Greg Hardy, but still a Panther win. Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, a win's a win. And at the end of the day, they freaking put up 24 points on Detroit, and the defense only allowed 7 points.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a pat on the back with that. Actually, I'm pretty sure you called it 24-21.
No, it's 28-24 actually.
Oh,
who's counting?
That's pretty close. I know Detroit missed out on some opportunities, especially early in the game. They had freezing up on a couple kicks.
Yep.
Missed 2 49-yarders. That'll probably be the end of his career with Detroit, I'm expecting. We don't really care about that, though. Also, Calvin Johnson missed a touchdown. Pretty much dropped it.
Yep.
Uncharacteristic for him. But I felt like pretty early on, I know I was talking to you and I mentioned Golden Tate taking a shot. He didn't look like he liked to get hit, and pretty much the entire Detroit offense looked pretty shaky. Not necessarily Calvin Johnson as much, but Stafford got up, didn't appreciate the physicality of the defense. Golden Tate took that shot. Didn't really do anything else after that. Caught one more ball. Seemed like he was killing us at first. Do you feel like they were a little soft?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, once like Mike Tyson used to say, everybody has a game plan until you get punched in the mouth. So that seems like what we did to Detroit.
Yeah, they didn't like it. They didn't like the ferocity of the Panther defense. And that D-line, Star, pretty much not very statistically great game, but if you're watching the game, you see the interior of the line every single time. Cave, first half, there was one drive in particular, K1 came up, made 2 plays right in a row. The D-line as a whole played outstanding, I felt like.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they didn't really get that many rushing yards. I think they may only had like 20-some the whole game. I didn't really look at the stats, but I mean, it was low.
It felt really low.
Yeah.
I think it may have been closer to 60, but I could be way off. I might be going back to Tampa Bay. I have no idea. I know they didn't run anywhere. They didn't run a whole lot, though, and I think because they knew that was a pointless attempt to even try to run the ball against Carolina. And it's nice when you get that reputation because you can really force teams into what you want without even trying.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Carolina's defense has always been, I mean, they were ranked 2nd last year. So
big part of that, as I actually came into this week planning to not talk about Luke Kuechly. Then he misses a tackle on the goal line.
Yep.
And I thought for the first time ever I had a chance to say something negative about him. And yeah, he blew that tackle, but he comes up with 11 tackles. Huge deflection, wide open, tight end down the middle. If he doesn't make the deflection, then he may go to the house.
Yep.
He was all over the field as always.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you expect from the defensive player of the year last time, and obviously Carolina's best defensive player, so he looked real good, man. I mean, it's hard to knock on Luke Kuechly. Yeah, he didn't make that tackle against the fullback, but he always comes back to make, some type of big play that they're making, maybe, not such a good play on the tackle.
I felt like the secondary stepped up as well. Really proved that maybe they're not as bad as everyone expected.
Yeah, I mean, secondary looked good. I think they had at least one pick, had a bunch of deflections. Calvin Johnson, wasn't really as big of a factor as you expect him to be. They look good, man.
I think Calvin Johnson was thrown to 16 times and only caught 8 balls. It was something in that neighborhood. Less than 100 yards, no touchdowns. Obviously, he dropped the one. Had the deep ball that was picked off at the end of the game, trying to get it to Johnson.
Yep.
So I was impressed. I was impressed by their performance. Not so much by our offensive line.
No, they looked. They looked like they were getting pushed back. They couldn't really make any kind of holes or any kind of push for the running backs. We didn't get a lot of running yards. Cam Newton, I think, got sacked 4 times. I mean, the offensive line right now looks like the trouble spot for the Panthers early in the season. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. Stewart had nowhere to run. A couple holes he missed. I believe that's probably the biggest difference between him and D'Angelo, from what I can see, is D'Angelo's vision.
Yeah.
But when he was able to get his momentum going, Stewart ran like a monster. He was a beast. I don't know how many tackles he broke. I heard in the one catch for 20-something yards, he broke 7 tackles.
Oh, wow.
The touchdown run wasn't that far, but he was kicking people off of him the whole way. I thought he really redeemed himself with about 3 runs. As a whole, Tolbert, once again, got nowhere. But as a whole, those couple plays really just made up for the entire day for the running game.
Yeah, Stewart on that touchdown run was just amazing. I mean, it looked like he saw the goal line and he wasn't going to get stopped until he was, got to the touchdown. So, I mean, that's what you expect from the. He's not really a big bruiser back, but he can break some tackles and he can bust some safeties up. So
he'll run some people over. And actually, I did fail to mention, Tolbert did make his presence felt on the very first play of the game.
That's right.
Because he blasted 2 guys, but as far as running the ball, he had no room. No one had room, really. Like you mentioned, the O-line was getting caved in, especially up the middle. Cam was running for his life. Didn't appear to have the same burst that he normally has when he first goes to accelerate. Did you feel like he was playing with still some injury issues?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. He didn't look as fast as he usually does. He couldn't get away from the defensive tackles like he usually does. He got sacked 4 times, which is pretty uncanny for him. On a couple of runs, he looked like he could have broke them open, and people were catching up to him. So I still think that ankle is still giving a little bit of problems.
Yeah, he performed pretty well though. 22 for 34, I believe. 281 yards passing, and a couple of those were drops. I know Kelvin Benjamin got credited with 3. One was a one-handed, left-handed catch.
Amazing catch.
Well, I was thinking about one of the drops they credited him with was the left-handed one-hander, but then he came back after dropping the easy one and made what could be the best catch of the season, followed by week 1 where he could have made the best catch of the season.
Yeah. Kelvin Benjamin, I mean, yeah, he had a couple drops this season, but man, can he make up for it with amazing one-handed catches. Like, I think all he needs is one hand at this point.
Yeah, and then the deep ball, the touchdown pass on 3rd and long, that he barely actually got 1 foot down, but was unable to get his other foot down over 2 defenders. That Cam Newton, Kelvin Benjamin connection is going to be something to watch for years to come.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in college that touchdown would have counted. I don't know, maybe he thought that play. Maybe he got a little bit confused and thought he was still in college or something. But yeah, Kelvin Benjamin, Cam Newton, man, that's something like I look forward to seeing for the next couple of years for sure, and on through the season.
Yeah, that was certainly going to be a difficult catch to get that 2nd foot down. So, back to Cam Newton quickly before we run out of time. he played pretty inspired. He seemed like he was on for most of the game. Came out a little rusty, but they really leaned on the passing attack. Did that surprise you any? I know we had talked about controlling the clock and keeping the Lions offense off the field.
Yeah, I mean, it did kind of surprise me a little bit, but, you know, they wasn't really moving the ball that well on the ground. Cam Newton, you know, 22 for 34 is pretty good for him, or pretty good in general, I'm talking about. He had a touchdown, and, I mean, yeah, the passing game, you know, if the running game don't work, you got to go to the passing game, I guess, and they were pretty heavy on that.
I'm with you. So it was a great win. It was, the game actually seemed much closer than it was for most of the way until the fourth quarter when the defense was really able to pin their ears back. And Addison came up with the 2.5 sacks. Dewan Edwards had the 1.5 sacks there. Give us a game ball. If you had to give out a game ball, who would you give it to?
Somebody we haven't talked about yet, Greg Olsen. I mean, he's looked great these first 2 weeks. He looks like, you know, the MVP of that receiving corps. And, man, has he stepped up since, you know, the departure of Steve Smith. What about you? What would your game ball be?
Well, Greg Olsen's a great choice. His season so far, I think he's already at 13 catches on the season. Maybe 14. I'm not exactly sure, but it's up there. And a touchdown. Speaking of touchdowns, Avant caught one.
Yep.
Him and Cotry both stepped up. 9 catches total, over 100 yards, and a touchdown. But my game ball, you know, I like to go a little off the wall. I'm going to go with Graham Gano.
Graham Gano. Say it ain't so, Gano.
55-yard field goal, 2 other field goals,
Yep.
and a fumble recovery. The first one
play of the game.
First fumble recovery of his career, including, I think, high school, college. He was pretty stoked. I don't know if you saw him run to the sideline, go to high-five somebody, lose the ball, and go chasing after it. But a week after making his presence felt with the band, now he's recovering fumbles. So, who knows what's next for, if you didn't know, now you can know.
I'll say maybe, you know, if everybody else starts getting hurt, play their running back.
There you go. Well, as always, we like to read all of our comments on the air, and I'm not going to read it verbatim, but Navy Gunner of Navy Gunner at, or YouTube at Navy Gunner commented, Eric, sit your backside up.
Is that a question?
I think it's a comment. So
I thought we were doing questions.
So I said I'd read all the comments. So
yeah,
Eric, sit your backside up.
Sorry, mother.
That's it. Unless you have something else to add.
Don't forget, man, to like us on, follow us on Twitter at Panther Fan Talk.
Comment, subscribe, share. We'll read all the comments just like we did this week or this episode. Tune in Thursday for our midweek episode.
Yep.
And we'll have next week's up as soon after the game as possible. Enjoy the Sunday nighter.
Yep. Panthers get the W, 2-0, baby. And that's it.
Have a good one.